Hi guys, I think we are live, but there is a small technical glitch and we're trying to resolve. So just bear with us for a minute, please. Thank you.
Just go back to the other screen. Yeah, that's our screen. Live. Sort this thing out. We can always pause and come back again. Okay, we will look at the questions.
What went wrong? We can just refresh and we're good to go.
I'll go back to that. Go refresh up there.
Yep, we are getting there, guys. Just a second, and we'll be with you in a minute.
Okay, unmute.
Here we go, guys.
Okay, fantastic. We've resolved this little technical.
Here we go, guys.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, thank you very much. A very good warm afternoon from sunny Perth, Western Australia, live from Aussizz Group, Canning Vale. Myself, Dharmindher Singh, and my colleague here, Bhaumik Patel. We are going to cover a topic that we've already publicized that we're going to be talking about, which is essentially about the nurses. Much in demand. We're going to talk about what, how, who, and how do you go about getting yourself into a pathway into being accepted. What are the requirements? What are the occupations? People have been asking us all these questions, so don't worry too much about it. Sit back, put your seatbelt on, and if you need to have any other questions, which we normally do, ask us, but let us just go into some specific information, particularly more so about not just nurses, but we might, if we have enough time, Bhaumik, cover issues about what happened this morning as well, which was the 189 invitation round, which I'm sure some of you want to know. But once again, I must emphasize, we're going to talk specifically about 189, what happened in the last invitation round in terms of what were the cutoff, what were the points, what were the things that you can benchmark against, as well as if we are tabulating information as of this morning of this invitation round, and we'll tell you again what the cutoff is about that. So without further ado, let me bring Bhaumik into the picture.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Dharmindher Paji, for giving a brilliant introduction about today's session. Well, my name is Bhaumik, and I'm a registered migration agent here at Aussizz Group, Canning Vale. So today we are specifically going to talk about the nursing occupation only, which is including enrolled nurse and the registered nurse in different specializations. So, well, most of you all know that this is the most critical occupation at this point of time, and this is one of the most demanding occupation in this particular time. So if we compare the invitation round with any of the states, or if we compare any of the invitation from any of the skill visa 189 or 491, this is the only occupation we can see that department is focusing on.
And
so to be eligible for,
we're saying that why? Because the last round,
yes,
nurses.
So,
this morning,
exactly,
nurses.
yeah,
that's what we meant.
Yeah,
yes, sorry.
pretty much.
Yes.
So, well, you all know that to become a qualified registered nurse, you must have got your AFRA registration, which is a very standard requirement for everybody to have it. And then once you have your registration, then only you can apply for your skill assessment through NMEC. Now, NMEC is assessing body for nurses, including registered nurse, NEC, or any other specialized nurse. as well as enroll nurse. Enroll nurse is for those who have done diploma level qualification in nursing, and RN is for those who have done bachelor's or higher level qualification in nursing, right? So as I said, AFRA is a registration body for nursing occupation. Either it is enrolled nurse or it is a registered nurse, right? So once you have AFRA, then we can move forward with NMEC. Now NMEC. When we talk about NMEC, Paji, as you earlier explained it to all of us and in this session as well, that when we required a specialized outcome for registered nurse, then there is a special requirement from assessing body NMEC. So will you be able to explain them more detail about it, please?
Yeah, I think they have to work specifically in those particular area, because when you finish your graduation, whether you've done a bachelor's or you've done a master's of any kind, you're going to get registered nurse NEC, which is not elsewhere classified. Hence why it's called NEC. Now, a lot of people, it's a lot of talk. We get a lot of these kind of questions that, oh, we feel that maybe if I have a specialization in mental health or in aged care or anywhere that you seem particular, you need to have worked a certain number of hours or time, 3 months to be precise, just put that like a rough figure. You need to have that, then go back to NMAC again to say, hey, I've actually worked, this is my occupation, this is my list, this is my duties, responsibility, specifically pertaining to that role, and NMAC will do another assessment for you. So what do you end up? You get 2 assessments, right? Which is good. So if people who want to leverage their chances, which is what we get questions asked all the time, then we do that.
Yeah.
Once you have that, come back to us again, or whatever the case is, you put in another UI for 2 separate.
So basically, that's what I mean. You can use multiple assessment in order to apply for your UI, and that will help you to improve your chances to be invited. So let's say, for example, you are just graduated from a bachelor's of nursing or a master's of nursing, and you've got your AFRA registration. Then without any experience, you can have your skill assessment as a RN NEC.
Yeah.
And then you can apply for your expression of interest for any of the eligible subclasses as per your points.
But for NEC only.
Yes, for NEC. And then meantime, while you are in a queue, if you are working in specialization, for example, if you're working as a RN in aged care, or if you're working as a RN in mental health department, or you're working in any specialized other area called critical health or any hospital or anything, for example, right? Yeah. So by the time you are done with that experience for 3 months, you can continue waiting for your RN NEC invitation. If it happened, great. If it doesn't happen, then you can always finish your 3 months, go back to NMEC and obtain your specialization skill assessment on nominated occupations, and then apply another expression of interest to improve your chances.
And it does not say anywhere that you cannot do multiple EUIs for multiple assessments, in which what we're talking about.
Yeah, if you're qualified for it, there is no restrictions on doing it. But I would just make a small suggestion to every one of you that if you have got multiple assessment and if you have got multiple EUIs in the queue for different subclasses, and when you are invited for one which you are accepting and going forward with that particular visa and applying for your PR through that particular skill assessment, then my request to all of you is to withdraw the other one, which are already sitting in a queue where you are not expecting to be invited anyway, just to keep that seat, available for someone else who need it, right? Because you're already invited, so you're not going to accept another invitations in any of the circumstances, right?
In other words, just be kind to someone else who might be in the queue.
So do not just waste the invitation, guys. I mean, I can understand that you are doing these multiple UIs and keeping yourself in a queue to improve your chances. But as I've said that, this is something that we should all try to work around and help each other, basically. Okay.
Now, speaking of help each other, let's jump straight into something that we was already speaking offline. We want to go into what happened in the last round, which was in August, in terms of perhaps maybe a good time to talk about what our cutoff was.
Yes.
Specifically nursing, and then maybe share 1 or 2, peripheral information about some other occupations. But again, nursing, what was some of the information that we had, we compiled, and then we know of, where people who now, not just today, but for the upcoming, at least October, November, and subsequent invitation rounds, how can they position themselves or maybe keep their heartbeat okay, knowing that they are going to be in a position ready to be invited.
Yeah,
what are
perfect.
we talking about?
So basically, as I've discussed about AFRA, then I've discussed about NMAC, and I've also covered the specialized skill assessment requirement for particular occupations. And then as soon as you have all those things, then definitely you are applying for yourself for an EOI for either a subclass 189 skill independent, or if you have a relative who are residing in a designated area of Australia and who are PR or citizen, then you are also eligible to apply for your 491 relative sponsored expression of interest at the same time. And while you're waiting for this, if you are qualified for any of the state nomination through any of the state, either Victoria, NSW, or Western Australia, or any other particular state, then you can also place an EOI in a queue just to improve your chances. Now, as Dharmindher Singh have explained that what has happened in the last invitation round for such occupations. So yes,
we get that question asked all the time.
Yes, so I'm going to cover that in next 2 minutes or 2 to 5 minutes. So but I'll just finish this part, that every other state has a different requirement for such occupations, which is registered nurse, NEC, or enrolled nurse, or registered nurse with any other specialization. But when we talk about
WA?
Yes, so when we talk about
yes,
so when we talk about WA has got a very simple requirement for registered nurse if they are graduated from Western Australia institutions for minimum 2 years of study in WA.
Yep.
If they are invited under the graduate occupation list and under the graduate stream, then they do not need any employment offer letter, or they do not need any experience in order to be qualified for state nomination and PR.
So can I just interrupt here, right? So what we just said is exactly what was not happening before. So all these occupations, the whole host and list of nursing occupations are all now added onto the graduate occupation list, number one. Number two, previously, you needed to have 1 year of experience prior to being invited and all of that. So moving forward, a fairly recent announcement. Once you are a graduate from here, like what Bhaumik has just said, you are invited. You do not need to go into 6 months of work experience or get a letter of offer and all of that kind of stuff. None of that is applicable at the moment, which is brilliant, right? And then the next.
So this is for the graduate stream, yeah. And then obviously for a general stream, the requirement is still the same, that if you are invited through general stream under Schedule 1, then you need to have 1 year of experience, yeah. And then a further job offer letter in Western Australia, right? So the difference between these two streams is that one, which is for people who are either living overseas or living in interstate and expecting invitation from a WA state, they definitely need 1 year of experience and a job offer letter as well. Further, job offer letter has to be 6 months when they are invited, right?
Yeah.
Now,
for 190.
Yes, for 190, right? Now, when I compare the cutoff for these two particular invitation under general stream and a graduate stream, guess what, guys? The people who are applying through general stream, they are invited with minimum 65 points.
For nurses?
Yes, for nurses. I'm only talking about nurses, guys. I'm not going to make any explanation about any other occupations, but yes, only for nurses. So under a general stream, yes, 65 points.
190, we're talking about essentially 190.
190, yes.
So they are invited at 65 points. Wow, that's brilliant.
65 points. Now that 65 point is 60 on their own and 5 from the state. Okay. And then they're invited through general stream, which is Schedule 1. Whereas on the other hand, under a graduate occupation list, those who are applying as a WA graduates, they are invited by 85 points.
Now, why is that? I wonder why.
85 points, guys. Okay. So here is the difference, that people who have experience, they are having higher chances than the people who are not having an experience, right?
Okay.
So this is what the difference is. If you have experience, then ultimately you should be qualified in all stream. But if you do not have it, then obviously you are relying on only one, which is only 190 undergraduate stream, right? But the best part is yet to come.
The best part is yet to come. But I just want to quickly interrupt here then. But so if you don't feel that nervous right now, if you are on a graduate occupation list and you have already been working prior to that, it's in your favor because you're going to claim points. It does mean that you don't have to score 90, 95 points or 80, 85. You potentially could be invited for 70, 75 too because you've got experience, isn't it?
Yes.
The logic behind that is that.
Yeah, that is true. Okay. But the best part here is that, see, state is also running invitation round every month. At the same time, federal government is also running the invitation round every month.
As opposed to quarterly.
And yes, they used to do it every quarter, but now, well, they have been super great. And as the skill is in demand, the invitation round has happened last month as well as it happened today as well, for subclass 189 and subclass 491 relative sponsor.
Yeah.
So the best part is that last invitation round, they have invited candidates for such occupations like a registered nurse NEC or registered nurse HKR with 70 points. So the cutoff was 70, literally 70 points for a 491. So 50 for on your own and 55 on your own and 15 from your relative. You're making 70 and you're invited, right?
The bare minimum.
Yes, and when we talk about 189, the cutoff was 65 points, guys. I mean, this is one of the best case scenario I have ever seen in last 3 years' time. As I've started the conversation, I've explained it that this is one of the most demanding occupation, and government is trying everything and anything to to cope up with the circumstances and help to feed more health worker in the system, so that we can always deal better in coming days, right?
So it's very interesting if some of you were actually paying attention, which I'm sure you guys were, what Bhaumik was just saying, that when we have the 189, which was supposed to be going off every quarterly. Now, we just had one in August. We just had one this morning at the same time. So this is essentially to fill occupations that's deemed in the critical sector, healthcare, naturally, which is essentially what we're talking about. And nursing, for all intent and purposes, all the classifications that we've already mentioned are classified as that. And you don't have to think what probably might happen. Oh my God, in August and November, is 189 going to continue going on? We don't know that. I think if that gets filled up, that's not our concern. Our concern is to make sure that your application is correct. Make sure if you needed 3 months more experience, you needed to get all that stuff happening, get all that done, no problems. But the flip side, I think, which is what we're going to be talking about, is that 190 is still an attractive option, and 491, which is the state invitation rounds that's going to go off, which is hopefully happening in third week of
this month. Yeah,
that's what we want to talk about intermittently at the same time. So this is all very good, all very positive to fill the skill shortage in that specific area, which is what we are very, very excited. Hence why this topic today is essentially about nursing.
Yeah, very much. Yeah. So I'm very sure a lot of you guys have gone through the data from Skill Select, where it is clearly mentioning that how many people they have invited in the last invitation round, right? Today we are still compiling the data, and we are also waiting for the more accurate information from the department as well about how many people they have invited. But yes, last invitation round they've invited around 12,000 people in one single round, and majority of are belonging to health sector. So guys, that department is focusing on health, and then they are slowing down and going towards most critical occupations other than nurses. For example, engineers.
What are some of the occupations that we
engineers, IT engineers,
social workers,
construction managers, and then
teachers.
Teacher, and all those, right? So in those 12,000 seats, they have maximum quota they have allocated to 189 skill independent PR than any other things, right? So I mean, this is the best case scenario. If you're invited through 189, and if your UI is accurate when you have submitted your UI, if all the information is accurate, your points are accurate, then I mean, you can't go wrong, guys. But just keep an eye on your UIs as well, because we've come across a lot of clients where they have received message from Skill Select, but they didn't bother, or they just forgot to check, and then that message was saying that your skill assessment is expiring, or you're dropping age points, or your PT is expiring, or whatever. I mean, whatever, right? So Skill Select does send a message, and whenever you receive that message, make sure you go and check that message, right? Because we've received a couple of invitations, and I mean, we have fixed it before, it create any problem to clients. But some clients who applied on their own, and then when they receive those messages, they didn't check it. And when they are invited from the Skill Select to apply for a 189 visa or a 491 visa, and then they've come to consult, and when we've checked that, well, apparently some of the documents were expired, and unfortunately, they do not meet the criteria of at the time of invitations, and that is going to create a hell lot of a drama in their invite. So they are literally unable to accept that invite, and they cannot make any chances for that PR in this invitation round.
So let's talk about that, because that's important. Let's just spend a few minutes just talking about it. An EOI is submitted. It's a refresher for some of you. An EOI lasts 2 years in the system. Yeah. Now, a lot of you guys didn't think you're going to be invited for 189, and suddenly it has. And then for those of you who are really now suddenly waking up and then realizing that there is a potential at 65, 70 points being invited, go back, revisit that EOI, check all those things that what Bhaumik has just mentioned at the same time. You might be surprised, because what might not be important to you right now could be a simple thing like, oh my God, my PTE is about to expire. I better update that.
Yeah.
God forbid, if today you were one of those unfortunate people who were invited and it's a 189, and God forbid something has expired, and you're like, you can't do anything about it, because that's just what he mentioned. At the time of invitation,
yes, you need to have all those documents valid.
Exactly.
Then
So
only you can accept it.
no shortcuts about this, especially when.
In some of the scenario, we have also come across that some people, their skill assessment was expired, and then they've already got the new one, but they just did not update it in their EOI.
That's fine.
And they are invited. That's not going to be a problem for them. They can still use the updated version of the skill assessment and then apply. But if it happened after the invitation for PTE, for example, if someone PTE score has expired and he did not have it at the time of invitations, but after the invitation he got that score to fit the same point, but well, that's not going to help him, because he's still not meeting the requirement for that invite at the time of invitations. So guys, we have to be, I mean, you guys have to be very extreme careful about such message and about the skill select.
Just to mention, in the event that you are unfortunately faced with that scenario, it's not the end of the world. You cannot accept that EOI dies. We resubmit another one. We just get in queue again, and you just start all over again. So questions.
It's not the end. It's not the end. But again,
us,
don't just apply.
It's not going to inconvenience anybody else. You're not at any disadvantage. You're not black marked or anything like that. You are eligible to be invited again.
Yeah, if you are not sure about these things, then you can always consult professionals at Aussizz Group in any of the nearest office and have a clarity before you do anything. Because sometimes people say that, okay, well, my friend has done it and I want to do it. Well, my friend, see, I'm also your friend, but professional, right? So you rather consult professionals and then make a decision, because this is going to change your life, okay?
You my friend? We are colleagues, yes. So we are here to share this information.
Yeah, so I really want to encourage you all to make sure that when you accept the invitations, you're pretty accurate about the information that you need, okay? Other than that,
we've got a couple of things to share with you. I mean, I know we're just sort of getting into the flow right now. We're going to get questions shortly at the same time.
Yeah.
But
so
what else that came to our mind when we wanted to share, primarily with regards to nursing?
So yes. So what I have come across over the period of time, that a lot of people, they have got their skill assessment as RN, NEC, for example, and then they have been working in hospital as a mental health nurse, or they're working in aged care as an aged care nurse, or they're working in any critical department as a critical nurse, and any other things, right? So many people, they did not know that once they are done with certain amount of experience, they can always apply for another skill assessment under the specializations, and they never even bother. So for some example, some people have always assumed that once they are done with the qualification, they must go through certain amount of experience, then only they can apply for the skill assessment. So there are different kind of scenarios that I've come across, and I would like to bring some more lights on these, that guys, this is how it works, okay? So as soon as you are graduated, if you're meeting the requirement of AFRA registration, you get your AFRA registration, and that will help you to start practice. Okay.
It just lets you work. That's all.
Exactly. As soon as you get your AFRA registration, you can apply for the job as RN in different sector, however you want. But in the meantime, you are also qualified to apply for your skill assessment as an RN NEC without any experience. Okay. You do not have to wait for experience to happen and then only you can apply. Because
some people actually did that, not knowing that they were eligible for that.
Very much, yeah. Because the RN NEC is one of the most popular occupation among these all, where I have seen, magic invitations. So RN NEC, people are invited with 70 points under 190. People are invited with 70 points under 491. People are invited through 190 general stream with 70 points. Now, none of them needed any experience to get their skill assessment as an RN NEC. So imagine if they wouldn't have applied for the skill assessment without experience under RN NEC, then they wouldn't have got invitation, right? So it's very simple, very simple, that you literally are qualified to have one skill assessment, which is RN NEC, right after your graduations and after registration. So don't waste your time on gaining the experience. Yes, while you are gaining your experience, if you are not invited and your experience is sufficient, which Paji has already explained, that 3 months of experience in particular sector, like aged care worker, registered nurse in aged care, then after 3 months, you can always go back to NMAC and get your specialized assessment and then apply your UI under a separate as a separate expression of interest. But do not just wait to lodge your UI because you don't have an experience. Okay.
I mean, not that we need to sum what he just said. You got to be in it to get an invitation. But if you are getting it in another field, another discipline, another specialization, go ahead. And if that makes you feel passionate about mental health or all those other disciplines you're talking about, that's fine. But get your NEC sorted. Keep that in your back pocket. Apply, wait, see, assess. Because it's a matter of opinion. Oh, I think other occupations, other specializations seem to be invited. But that was maybe a year and a half ago, some little mindset. That's all changed. It's a new game changer right now. Moving forward, just remember what we just talked about. Is get that done, and then we carry on from there.
Yeah, and the other part, which I was explaining, that some people, they have only got one assessment and they did not know that they are also qualified for the other one. So they have always waited. So let's say, for example, someone who has got it's many times, and people have no idea. So let's say, for example, they've invited this registered nurse under a community and critical with 90 points. Okay, 90 points.
That's pretty serious point.
Now on the other part, they've invited registered nurse NEC with 75 points. Now, guys, see, if one who has got no skill assessment as an RN NEC, I mean, one cannot secure that invite, right? But see, this is the difference, that one which does not require experience is also invited with less points than the one which requires experience. So I only want to make sure here that you understand what I'm trying to say. And I really want you to consult professional before you make any judgment call that which one is the most appropriate for you. Okay, well, there is a data available online, and all official record is uploaded on either Skill Select website through federal government or the state government website on their own state nomination website. So you can also go there and check these all numbers, whatever I'm talking about, and they are all pretty accurate because I got all the data from there. We have done that analysis before we come live today. So it's pretty accurate. If you're confused and if you are still not sure about these things, then you can come and talk to us. We'll help you out.
We know why we're saying this way before. We were going to check what are the questions, because some of the questions are definitely, I can guarantee you, Bhaumik, we're going to get questions like, I'm on 75 points. What are my chances? Blah, blah, blah. We will get them. But just remember, we've been saying this for the last 20, 25 minutes. This is really all about that. Maximizing your options, being bold, being brave, being smart, of actually just, kind of leveraging off all these options that you have.
And the best part is, RNNEC. Okay, as I said, no experience needed to get the skill assessment. So today we have got one more invitation round from the federal government for Skill Select 189, right? Skill Visa 189 and 491 relative sponsor. And guess what, guys?
We got some brief numbers.
Yeah, we have got a lot of invitations, and we are all working to find the exact cutoff for each of the occupations. We are compiling the data. In the meantime, I've got some information for nurses, because we know that we were supposed to go live today for nursing.
We can actually see some information down
here. And I've got some information here. So for nurses, NEC 70 point for 189, and the cutoff date is, what is it, Paji? Look at that.
That's insane.
Look at that. 65 points, and cutoff is 24th of August 2022. So 24th of August 2022, if anybody has applied for the skill assessment, if anybody has applied for an expression of interest for a 189 visa as an RN NEC, they're invited. So if they have invited people, literally like people who have applied in EOI with 65 points
for less than a month and a half ago,
literally 4 weeks back, then this is huge round. I'm very sure the numbers are super high, and they have given again highest priority to health occupations, and registered nurse is one of them.
Yeah. So we keep saying healthcare. Now look, healthcare is there, but nurses predominantly, they form the bulk of those occupations that seem to be invited. Okay. So the argument, we can take it so many ways. Oh, why just NEC? No, don't worry about NEC or not. Now, anyone who is a nurse, cut off 70, 75, whatever the case is, seems to be invited. Last 2 rounds now. What he just read off is just this morning.
Today, yeah.
Tentative, very rough, very raw figures.
6 o'clock in the morning.
6 o'clock in the morning. You woke up, I had breakfast, we woke up, and we had this invitation round slapping us, saying that yabba dabba do. Very exciting stuff, right? We are here to share what happens real time with us. Okay. We didn't know that the round was going to go off today. We had already planned to talk about the nursing today. It just so happened, it coincided with the round.
So we're just covering this.
We're just sharing this with you as we go along.
And so, I'll just quickly finish it. That some occupations who does require experience to get the skill assessment, like specialized nurses, right? Critical health, critical care or emergency or mental health or aged care nurse. Now, see, the one which does not require experience is invited with very minimum points, which is a very minimum is threshold point, which is 65. Without even 65 points, you can't apply for an EY, right? So the one which require experience are invited with higher points in the last round. Okay, we are still compiling the data for this round, but for the last round, yes, they have invited such occupations like for
this one?
Yeah. No, I'm talking about this. So these occupations,
which today's one, right?
Yeah.
So I had
child and family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nursing one.
They did not even invite these occupations.
Child and family health.
They did not even invite.
They did not invite pediatrics and all that kind of stuff.
Bother.
So you go figure that out. So somebody who was very passionate that, oh, I want to work in pediatrics, I've got that, and you've gone ahead.
So be careful.
That.
Yeah, be careful.
But this is exactly going back to what we just said about 10, 11 minutes ago. If you have NEC, put that inside.
Yeah.
You just carry on, and because that's going to be the thing that's going to bring the fish home.
Perfect. So now I'll
go back to questions.
Yeah, jump back to the question and let's see if
scroll
we
down.
can help a lot of people here.
I'm trying to see where the questions are coming through.
No question leading to PR. Yeah. So chat. Here we go.
There we go.
There are many.
Now, let's start with maybe.
So your number, please. Okay, my friend Kevin will drop our number in the chat box. Definitely, my friend.
Sam Shah.
I'll also release. I'll also provide you email address so you can contact us either way. Sam Shah. So why not inviting more
onshore with high points and also IT occupations? Okay.
Well, Sam, that's again, that's not in our control. As I said, that they are more focused on critical occupations, and health is the highest priority. And then obviously this is all. IT is also part of the invitations, but as you are aware of it, that they have only invited people with the high points. And for onshore and offshore, well, see, 189 has no control for either onshore or offshore. It's more of skill based with the points. So highest points invited, lowest points not invited. Simple as that. But yes, for 491 relative sponsor, they have considered candidates either onshore or offshore. And for some, they have invited offshore.
491 family, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for some occupations, they've invited offshore. For some, they only invited onshore. Okay.
Yeah. So case in point, civil engineer. I had one guy offshore, put his EY about a month ago. Bang, got invited as a civil engineer.
Yeah.
8 years of experience, blah blah blah. Bare minimum points, 65, 70 points. So it has happened, right? So not just that. So move on to Gulzai. He's saying, what is the best state to move from New South Wales to? Enroll nurse and chef. WA
is
A.
the best, my friend.
It's A. That's the reason why it's A. So come to WA.
Now I've got a question for you, Gulzar. You said that enroll nurse and chef. I mean, if you have got assessment for both, then you have a premium chance, my friend. Because for enroll nurse, the invitation in WA, we had literally invitation with the 65 points. Okay, literally 65 points. The cutoff I'm talking about. So if you come to WA, you can't go wrong, my friend.
By the way, we are not little ambassadors of WA, but we basically advocate that. Why? Because of quota.
Well, because of the data available. I mean, nobody can make any judgment call here, but we can only predict the scenario on the base of current data, and then only we can tell you, right? So we are talking about current cutoff situation.
Okay, just jump into Gusharan. I'll read that, and maybe you've got a quick answer for her. Gusharan says, I've completed Masters of Business Information Systems from Torrance, Adelaide, but now I want to do Masters of Nursing. Okay, graduate entry. Can you please tell me which state is better, South Australia or Western Australia? So now...
Well, see, Gurcharan, again, you're talking about something that may take 2 years from now, right? So in my opinion, what you should do is, as far as I know, if anybody who has done Masters of Business Information System, then they must have done professional year as well, and they must have got one of the skill assessment in IT, either as a system analyst or a business analyst, right? So in my opinion, you should consider the state who can give you a more leverage of your current available skill assessment and the occupation. At the same time, you continue doing your Masters of Nursing undergraduate entry. Now, let me make it more clear. Let's say, for example, you can get your skill assessment as a business analyst or a system analyst or ICT project manager. Now, all three occupations are in WA occupation list. And for a 491, you do not need any job offer letter. For a 190, you need a job offer letter. Okay. Now, if you already have those skills already with you, and if WA has that open option for you, then you should consider doing your Masters of Nursing in WA. Why? Because it will create two pathways for you. While doing your Masters of Nursing, you will be also qualified to take advantage of your current available occupations. If you're invited in one of them, then you don't have to, rely on your nursing other than, studying and creating your own career.
But can I just, sorry, the most important thing down here is, sorry, Bhaumik, the fact that while you're studying, you're already onshore, you increase your chances for the invitation. Is that what you're talking about, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That's important. People don't realize that.
Yeah. So,
aside from 2 years later, going to be eligible for the graduate occupation list at the same time.
Yes. Right. Okay. So that's what I meant. That who knows that what will happen after 2 years. So you should consider something which is happening now, and then simultaneously something for future. To have more clarification on this, Gursharan, you can always get in touch with me or Haji, and we'll help you out.
No worries. Okay, let's jump.
We'll leave our detail in the chat box soon.
So Madhu Girish, because I presume, it says I'm onshore with experience, but didn't get invited. So I'm assuming what occupation we don't know.
Yeah, Madhu, we need more information about your occupations, and then we can advise you more specifically.
And also, if you've done your EY, if you're not sure, hey, no problems. We, in the spirit of all these beautiful invitations, get in touch with us. We'll let you know, tweak a couple of things here and there to make sure you're on the right track. Adhikari Ananda, what about the graduate nurse who done 1 year conversion course from WA? do they become eligible
Absolutely,
to launch
yes.
UI after school assessment?
Absolutely, my friend.
That's what we've been talking about. Yes.
You are certainly qualified for this. As soon as you have this conversion program done, as soon as you have your after registration, we can always do skill assessment and get you in a queue. So you can also get in touch with one of us and we'll help you out.
Okay, that's just information about that. Let's go to Rishabh Kapoor.
Okay,
Any
Rishabh
chance for
Kapoor.
enroll nurse? Absolutely.
I've already discussed this
Absolutely.
occupation. Enroll nurse is under graduate occupation list as well as under general. And as I said, they have awarded 65 and 70 points. So, I mean, there is nothing else that, one can look for. This is the best shot we have for enroll nurse here in WA.
Okay, Aditya, we'll skip your question because it's got no relevance to what we're talking about, but that's okay. Raman, any chance for enroll
Same
nurse?
thing. I think I've just answered the question to one of the gentlemen. So I'm sure, Raman, if you're still live, you must have got the answer. But I'll repeat it that you have got brilliant chances.
Okay.
But if I'm only considering this for WA, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm talking about WA graduates.
Same thing for Jamaica. Jamaica is
about,
asking the same question for, tell her enroll nurse and 189.
Yeah, so if you're talking, that's what I was just trying to clarify. That if you're talking about enroll nurse and trying and waiting for your 189 to happen, then my friend, you are in the wrong direction. Why? Because enroll nurse is not a qualified occupation for a skilled visa 189 or a skilled visa 491 under a relative sponsor stream.
And the reason behind that
only
is
qualified because it's not on a medium and long-term list.
Exactly. That's
and
because on the short-term list,
yeah. So enroll nurse is only qualified for either a straight route or through an employer-sponsored visa. So if you are not in the right state, then you should consider relocating yourself.
Awesome. Gusharan, thank you very much, guys. You're most welcome, Gusharan. This is really why we do what we do. We are not only passionate about this, but we really want to share this stuff with you. Autumn, I don't know what this is, but my job is in the arts industry, but I want to study bachelor's of nursing. Ooh.
Well, Autumn, see, in most of the situation, department, education provider, they only provide admission to bachelor's of nursing if you have biology in your background study, in your schooling or year 12 or any other diploma you have studied.
Whether or not you got your
but if you do not have that, if you do not have it, then I would say that you won't be able to get your admission through bachelor's of nursing. But for you, you should consider doing a diploma of nursing because that's the most basic qualification people need it to start their nursing career. So do diploma of nursing, and then always you can always do bachelor's of nursing, and that will always fulfill all your wishes for the migration as well as to have a great career. Chamika Silva. Okay, Chamika Silva, I've studied enrolling nursing in South Australia, but what's your best advice to secure a permanent visa? Well, Chamika, if you have studied in South Australia, then South Australia has a migration plan for those who are living in South Australia working in their own occupations. And I'm very sure if you have got your qualification done through South Australia, then you must have got your registration through AFRA as an enroll nurse as well. And I'm pretty sure you must have got a job by now, right? So if you're working there and local student of South Australia, then you should be able to get invited through South Australia under either 190 or 491. But in my opinion, to have more clarity on South Australia, you should go and visit our Aussizz Group Adelaide office and meet our professionals there. They will help you out for further info about the state nomination.
And once again, one thing we said a while ago, every state have their own little twists and turns in terms of meeting requirements for their respective 190 and 491. So we didn't want to go into details specifically for South Australia because they have this thing about, if you want a 491, you got to be there for a certain period of time and so on and so forth. So just familiarize yourself with going firstly to that respective state's information, read a little bit more, arm yourself with that knowledge and information first. And then when you get a little bit more confused or if you want clarity, you get in touch with our respective offices that we have throughout Australia, in whichever state you are, if you're comfortable. You pop that question and that's when we will jump in and answer whatever.
I think perfect, guys. As we have said that in the beginning of this session that we are compiling the data and we're trying to get more accurate information for all the other occupations. But this session was meant to happen only for nursing before the invitation round has happened. So therefore, we only covered nursing occupations, but we are going through all our data and going to release all the cut off information for each of the occupations by end of the day. So we still have an hour to go, and we'll make it happen right after this session. So keep an eye on our Facebook page, on our Insta page. If you're not following, you can start following to have more accurate information, and you'll be able to have precise answer for all your queries.
I just want to jump into just a few more questions that
Okay.
keeps me coming, which we have some time for anyway. So Navneet Kaur, enrolled nurse eligible for 189 in Victoria. Firstly,
It's not, yeah.
we just finished saying, I think my colleague Bhaumik was just saying, the reason why you're not eligible for 189 doesn't matter whether you're in Victoria. Firstly, you are eligible for Victoria for 190 and perhaps they are 491, but not for 189. Why? Because 189 is skilled independent visa reserved for occupations that's on the medium to long-term skills list. Hence why registered nurse is an enrolled nurse.
So Navneet, you don't get confused with your question. You should just consult someone local there in Victoria. We have got about 8 offices, and all the migration agents are working there. So you should go and consult one of the Aussizz Group office and have more clarity on this question. Because if you are not sure about this skill list for enrolled nurse, then you better go and have more clarity. Okay, but I think partially your answer was given to you by my colleague. So I think that should be good enough for now.
Okay, Adhikari Ananda, we've asked a good question. Actually, it's a very general question, but it's a good question nonetheless. We've covered this, but we're happy to clarify this. So, Bhaumik, the question is how often 189 and 190 invitations are open? Meaning, when do they run?
So, well, see, 189, as I said, this is a federal government program, and that invitation round for the last financial year, it used to happen every quarter. And for this financial year, they've started doing it every month. So last month we had it, today we had it, we are expecting that to happen next month as well. But we can't control that part. So they can change it anytime, whenever they want. But yes, we are expecting that to happen every month
For 189.
For a 189. For a 190, yes, for WA State, we are very sure that WA State does it every month in the 3rd week of the month.
Yeah. So,
and some of the state, I mean, Victoria, they just do it. They don't say that when they are going to do it, whereas WA has a precise time. On New South Wales, the same thing. They try to do it every month, but again, it's not necessary that they do it. So every state has a different situation.
It's all early days, Adhikari. So I think read between the lines. They're trying to do as much invitations right now to fill in all these particular key informations that key occupations that they have deemed necessary. They might, I think last year, remember in 1 month they had 3 rounds?
Yes.
In 190, we never forgot that. In WA, 3 rounds. We're like, whoa, what's going on? Has happened. And then they went quiet.
Yeah.
Okay. So these things can happen, but just put one thing at the back of your mind. 189 seems to be a very popular choice right now, whichever way you look at it. But whether or not it's going to happen again in November, in subsequent months, no one can say, because they might just say, right, we have temporarily filled this thing, and then we're going to go back into the quarters. Because how many thousands did they invite, Bob?
Last round, they've invited 12,000 people for 189.
All occupations, okay? All occupations. That's a lot of 189 when firstly, there was no activity for God knows how long. So these things, so don't just use this particular information that we are sharing with you as if this is going to be exactly how this is going to be happening in future rounds. So that's not a sort of safe thing to go by. But the 190 and 491, very consistent, so far so good. All the states have been told what their quota is, all new occupations list, this and that, the other. So maximize your time. Get the right information, do your own research at the same time. If you have to move state, move. I know it's not an easy decision for a lot of you at the same time because...
Yeah, don't just move without consulting professionals, because if you are not aware of the critical information, then you shouldn't just relocate in any of the states, right? So consider that if you're having your skill assessment done and then moving to any of the state for particular reason, which is your migration purpose, then you should consult the locals who are in that state, the professionals in that state, then only make a move. Okay.
Can I just say this? I don't think this is important. This is life. I'm going to say this right. We are based here in in Australia, Aussizz Group. We've got offices in almost every state. Multiple offices, dare I say, at the same time. We've come across some very sad cases. People have gone and consulted agents overseas, trying to make sense of specific state requirements whom they are probably not so privy about, they're just reading about. I'm not saying that we are that much more special, we're giving ourselves a pat on our back, but come to us, because you can't rely on that sort of overseas information.
Well, as I was very clear that
you know what I mean.
If you are if I want my client to relocate in Victoria, then I'll make sure that I'm very much accurate about Victoria state nomination information, or I'll get my colleague in Victoria office to make more clarity before I ask my client to relocate.
Vice versa,
right? It's the same thing happened to my colleagues who are in Victoria. They'll do the same thing. But we don't just encourage people to relocate for no reason. Okay, so as I said, that even by being in Australia, we are having these kind of situations. Then imagine if you are consulting someone who is literally overseas, then obviously they may not be able to give you more precise information, because the information keep changing, right? And the critical data also get updated every now and then. So without having a proper analyzed information, we can't just tell someone that, okay, well, go to South Australia or go to Tasmania. Okay.
Now, speaking of South Australia, we seem to be getting a lot of queries from South Australia. We've got GEPSI, or GEPSI Core. I have finished my IT degree. Congrats, professional year, and have 2 years of experience, but in disability experience, which for whatever various reasons she's decided to do. Can you suggest which visa I can apply for?
Yeah, well, Gipsy, this session
from South Australia.
Yeah, well, Gipsy, this session is not for the consultation, my friend. And neither we are discussing any IT related occupations.
Yeah.
But yes, since you are in South Australia, as I've explained before, and I said it very clearly, that we have got our office in South Australia, and we have got our professional colleagues who are working there. So you should go and visit our professionals, and they'll give you more clarity about your skill visa options.
And just, I mean, you've summed it up. What is scary is, I'm going to use that as an example. Therein, you've finished a degree, you've done a professional year, but you've not added the fact that you've also gone ahead and actually applied for a skills assessment, which you're eligible for. Instead, you've gone on to work 2 years in a disability experience. So this is the stuff that really gets us very confused.
We are not clear about the information. So
and concerned, because you probably are eligible for a skills assessment and you haven't applied for that, and then you could have applied EOI respectively based on the requirements in the specific states.
Yeah.
So this is where a lot of people, they just need to really just seek professional experience. Okay. Yeah. So I hope you get that point. We're trying to really
because Gipsy, we really don't want to give you any information which may not help you, and therefore, as I said, that you should consult. Okay. Thanks.
Right. We have maybe a few more minutes while we're waiting for 1 or 2 questions. I'm happy to sort of close out right now.
That's what I'm thinking, because if I'll just we have to go back so that we can compile all those data and release it.
Okay.
As well.
Yeah.
I think we've got a lot of questions here. We have covered pretty much all of them. And
so for any one of you who were looking for our details, information, this and that, we'll leave that afterwards.
We'll leave that in this
will put that
chat box
afterwards. And maybe if there's such a thing called last time, we're going to leave that. Okay, so we'll wrap up. We want to just very quickly say thank you firstly for tuning in, because from wherever you are, because this is going through apparently different mediums altogether. If you're not looking at it now live, if you're looking at it later, if you have any questions that we've talked about, or we shared some information and you want to clarify or have any sort of discussion with us, feel free. Aussizz Group, Canning Vale. My name is Dharmindher Singh. So my colleague here is Bhaumik Patel. Maybe I'll let you finish off and wrap up the few sessions that we just spoke about today, Bhaumik.
Yeah. So guys, I think we have covered pretty much everything about nursing occupations and the requirement for the skill visa. If you guys have got any other questions, any specific queries about such occupations like registered nurse or enrolled nurse, then you can always reach out to us and we'll help you out.
And also, if you have any other stuff which wasn't nursing, because this was a nursing related thing, you can still get in touch with us.
Yeah.
Offline. You know, we're happy to.
Yeah, we are not only
just in case they're feeling that
nursing.
we only dealing with nursing.
we can literally help you in any of the queries. But as I said, that this was only specifically designed for nursing. That's why we were more focused about it. But if any of the nurse who is still confused and not sure which skill assessment to be done, then please don't hesitate. Contact one of us and we'll get your ball rolling.
So all the nurses should get in touch with us. We will prescribe the right medication for you guys and tell you to take this 3 times a day, 5 days a week. Come and see us and it should be all good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful evening, guys.